handwriting and turns that into arithmetic expression. So you can see that I simply wrote 2 times 3 on the screen. It reads my handwriting and does the appropriate calculation. But what's kind of interesting is that it also understands algebraic notation. So it knows that 2 parentheses 3 really means 2 times 3, and it does the appropriate calculation. It also understands the distributive property. So that if I write something like this down, it knows that I have to add the 3 plus the 4 before it multiplies times the 2. Also handles exponents. You can see 2 to the 3rd power is going to come out to be equal to 8. It also is able to handle square roots. So I do a square root sign. It knows the square root of 3 is 1.732. If for some reason I need the reciprocal of that, I can just put it over 1 and it does that calculation as well. Speaking of its ability to understand arithmetic notation, if I write something like this, it knows that the grouping rules are that you're going to add the 3 and the 5 together before you divide by the 2. It's fairly sophisticated. Maybe you're doing Pythagorean's theorem and you want to do 3 squared plus 4 squared, and so you're calculating using Pythagorean's theorem and finding the hypotenuse. Well, it's able again to do that calculation. You'll notice it's pretty forgiving as far as your handwriting is concerned. It also has some trig ability. If I ask for the sine of 30, it knows that the sine of 30 is going to be, now you notice I got kind of a funny answer there. That's because up in the corner there's a little button that says degrees and radians, and so I was looking for radian or degrees in that case, and so I had to click that little button in order to get the proper notation there. By the way, speaking of radians, if you wanted to work in radians, you could actually ask it to find the sine of pi over 6, which in radians is the same thing as 30 degrees. And once again, I hit the button, switched it to radians, and I got sine of pi over 6 is equal to 0.5. It also, interestingly enough, if you're finding the circumference of a circle, we could take 2 times pi times 5, and it would calculate that out using a radius of 5, and you'd be able to do that calculation. About the only thing that I found that it doesn't handle very well is mixed fractions, because if you try to take 2.5, well, it's going to interpret that as 2 times 1/2. So if you want to do mixed fractions, you have to do something like this: 2 plus 1/2 plus 3 plus 1/4. Well, interestingly enough, that's really what I'll get that right in a minute here. You get the idea. Interestingly enough, that is what a mixed fraction really is. It's adding the fractional part to the whole number part, so it really teaches a concept of math. Download this on your iPad and have some fun with it. I've enjoyed playing with it.